Here is the BP Ultimate Grid for race 2 of the BNT V8s from Taupo. Kane Scott and John McIntyre again off the front row. Jason Bargwanna and championship leader Angus Fogg complete row 2.
We then slot back to the first of the Commodores, Paul Manuel. Next door to him, the man all the work to do, Craig Baird. Scott McLaughlin. Next door to Andy Booth.
McLaughlin in the wars after race number 1. Andy Knight, the big mover in the race 1, alongside Andrew Anderson. Go back to Eddie Bell, who was also on the move. He starts alongside Dean Perkins.
Then have Simon Richards, and next door to him, Christine Orr, the only lady in their whole field. Martin Short, of course, caught up in turn 1 accident. Next door to him, David Hopper.
Then we go back to Hayden McKenzie and John Penny, who was also in the wars in race number 1. Timmy Edgell, he copped a penalty for turning around John Penny. Matt Lockwood and Nick Ross completes the lineup for race 2. As we go down to the lights, Jason Bargwanna with a flyer off the inside of the second row, and he may sneak up the inside of Kane Scott. Contact!
Yeah, Johnny McIntyre's going to get away with that. He's out wide. Jason Bargwanna is going to lead the field out of turn 1. Now, what's going to happen to 2? Smoke everywhere.
Kane Scott's getting shuffled back. McIntyre back ahead of him. Paul Manuel with a flyer. Scott McLaughlin's right in the mix as well in the Super Cheap Holden.
Hold your breath, everybody. They've got to get through turn 4. Turn 5, there's going to be action. Everybody dive down the inside. Andy Booth's right up there.
Yeah, he's gone to the inside of Fogg. There's contact there between the championship leader and Andy Booth.
Oh, Fogg will be thinking, what do I have to do to get through these rounds without too much damage?
What does he have to do to survive?
Mate, look at that. He's on the outside. Andy Booth is going to put his nose right up the inside here. This is going to become a full GM Jag race through 8 and 9.
Eddie Bell was sideways off the exit of turn number 7. Bargwanna leads from Johnny Mack. Paul Manuel in 3rd. Kane Scott 4th. Scott McLaughlin up the 5th. Andy Booth 6th and carrying some front end damage to the front of the Rock FM Holden.
Wow, interesting. Front of Angus Fogg's car smoking a bit. That means the guard has come back on the tyre, so it'll cause a few issues. It won't be anything significant unless the smoke starts trailing for a lot longer than what we've seen. One of the cars further back as well, similar kind of damage.
Craig Baird in behind. Andy Knight was the big mover in race number 1 as we're on board now with Martin Short. Had some dramas in race number 1, got turned around into the first quarter. And what was left of his front splitter went straight through Scott McLaughlin's passenger door window and shattered it and actually put some glass inside Scott's helmet.
Certainly not ideal, but didn't really seem to affect him much because he finished the race in 7th place. But here we go. This man in front of you is going to be very hard to beat because lap 4 and 5, if he can manage to maintain that first position and be defensive, Johnny McIntyre is going to come under the attention very quickly of Paul Manuel and, of course, Kane Scott. So, what can Bargs do?
Yeah, Jason Bargwanna with the race lead in the Redco Ford. He's got nothing to lose because he's not in championship contention.
Well, the other thing to take into this equation, Paul Manuel there in 3rd place, 5th place as well, Scott McLaughlin. These guys don't care about the championship. They don't care about anybody contesting the championship. They just want to go get the best results they can. So they're going to mix it up there. So there's so many unknowns in this race at this time.
On board with Kane Scott, so he's going to make a gain again on Angus Fogg. So is John McIntyre, but Craig Baird, more importantly for Foggy, is behind him right now as the rest of the field work their way through on lap number 2 of 10, race 2 for the BNT V8s from Taupo. The drama just continues to build here at the business end of the championship.
So the guys that went into this probably 1st and 2nd, and I don't want to use the word favourites, Angus Fogg on your screen there, Craig Baird, suffered a bit in race 1 and so far. He's still Fogg gone wide,
big
to the inside.
Big lock up for Angus Fogg. Craig Baird's going to slip up the inside. I know Foggy wasn't entirely happy with his race pace.
No, but the key to this, Jamie, so to jump in, mate, is going to be where Andy Knight does. He's going to jump in behind that United Video car, and he is going to make life awful difficult for Angus Fogg to get back onto the apex.
Great drive from Andy Knight. We know he's had car speed over the weekend, but with an engine change penalty going in, it's all Fogg and Baird make contact. Knight's going to slip by both of them. Fogg down through the grass.
He's going to run Knight out of room there, entitled to do that. Angus Fogg gave him a bit of a kiss on the way in. Of course, now these two guys, Andy Knight's on the inside, so Foggy, all of a sudden, and everybody behind them is getting wide. That's because of the dust and debris thrown up by the Angus Fogg car.
Andy Anderson sideways off the final corner. So Andy Knight started the first race from the rear of the field after that engine penalty. He mowed his way through inside the top 10. So he's got serious pace. There's a couple of contenders that aren't really in the championship mix, sort of acting as spoilers here for the second race.
We alluded to that a couple of laps ago. These guys just don't care about the championship. They're out there to get maximum exposure they can. So the likes of Johnny McIntyre and Kane Scott, they'll be taking that into equation because any one of these guys, Jason Bargwanna, Paul Manuel in the mix there as well. Here we go, a replay.
Here's the peak antifreeze replay. So turn in, Foggy, contact on the back of Baird. Knight slipped up the inside. Foggy took to the grass. Bed's just sort of moved Andy Knight over to try and get that line back down into turn number 13 and 14. Kane Scott working over Paul Manuel. I can tell you that Angus Fogg has lost a position to Andy Knight and is back in the 9th position for the championship leader with Craig Baird a couple of spots ahead of him. So that's going to change the points. Here's Scott McLaughlin chasing down Kane Scott, the two Racing Projects teammates, one in a Ford, one in a Holden. On board with McLaughlin down through to the carousel. So there's Baird and Knight, both ahead of Angus Fogg in the background. A couple of those front runners were pretty lucky to get away with that sort of opening few corners.
At the moment, championship points as they stand in current track position. Angus Fogg leading, only 24 points behind him is Kane Scott. Johnny McIntyre started this race 100 points behind Angus Fogg. At this moment, he's only 69 points. So 69 points between first and fourth in the championship. It
continues to close up. Australian Jason Bargwanna looking for the victory. He's had one win earlier on in the season. Of course, didn't contest Manfield. He is still in the top 10 in points. So Bargwanna, he'll be looking for his second victory of the championship. On board with Scott McLaughlin, with Kane Scott just up ahead. Here's Bargwanna with about a half a second advantage over John McIntyre, whose car looks to be a little bit stronger as we're on the halfway point. Bargwanna with a big flash of flame down through turn number 11. Last lap at 37.1 for Bargwanna, a 36.9 for Johnny Mack. Kane Scott just unable to do anything about Paul Manuel right now.
Yeah, he's going to make comment. Given the speed of Kane's car in qualifying, he has no answer for Paul Manuel in front of him. And we saw him as he coming on the back straight there through turn 11. The car was sideways on the throttle application, so maybe he's used that car up, getting to where he is. Paul Manuel certainly looks comfortable in third place at this stage, but there's still plenty of racing to go.
Angus Fogg still in the 9th position, the championship leader, but effectively that points lead has been nearly halved. Big mover in the field, Timmy Edgell from the back of the grid after a penalty from race 1, sending John Penny around. He is up into the 14th position. John McIntyre definitely gaining. That gap is closed to just 3/10. And it's a little bit tighter than that because he's right up underneath the rear wing of the Retco Ford.
Yeah, looks looking at the timing monitor here. These two guys battling, Bargwanna and Johnny McIntyre. Last lap times 1:37.1 respectively each. Paul Manuel, who's really in his own fresh air, 36.7. Kane Scott behind him, 36.9. So this battle out the front, as we see out the front of Johnny McIntyre's car, is costing these guys half a second a lap. So in the next lap or so, we're going to see Paul Manuel, possibly Kane Scott, right on the back of these guys.
Yeah, Paul Manuel, the fastest on track that last lap. But next car into shot behind Andy Booth, Craig Baird is also on the move. He was the second quickest driver in that last lap. There's Knight going through ahead of Angus Fogg, back to 9th in this race. So with Angus Fogg in 9th, John McIntyre there in the 2nd position. The other championship contenders, Kane Scott running in 4th, Craig Baird in 7th. The championship lead, you reckon, Mark, is what, 24 points to the advantage of Angus Fogg?
Yeah, to Kane Scott, Craig Baird back 40 points, and then Johnny McIntyre, here's the one that's made the biggest gain here on Angus Fogg, now only 69 points in arrears.
There's Timmy Edgell, he's working his way through. Nick Ross, so Edgell is battling for the 14th and 15th positions. Edgell, of course, starting from about grid position 20 at the start of this one.
Yeah, let's not read too much into this with Timmy because of his car speed, because after this, they've got the, here he goes, a bit of a replay. Looks like Martin Short, Timmy Edgell on there, contesting it with a wing mirror flying off. There you go. What I was alluding to, Jamie, don't read much into this with Timmy Edgell's car speed, because they would have put probably the worst set of tyres on for this race to get through, because the reverse grid race is the one this afternoon. Everybody 20 laps, of course, so they'll be saving the best for last. No, they've got to get through the traffic. He'll probably start middle of the field, so sometimes you've got to give a little to make a little at the other end.
Well, Paul Manuel will be a happy camper in the cockpit of the Oryx Holden. He's running right there with John McIntyre. Seen certainly signs of speed from the Oryx Commodore, but not as consistent as the Manuel team would have liked, but they certainly look to be right on it here.
The thing that you can take encouragement from is that Johnny McIntyre's not actually being held up by Jason Bargwanna, so the effort Paul's putting in here is 100% car speed.
Boothie off in the Rock FM Holden. Now, he was in
he was 6th place.
The 6th place, chasing down Scott McLaughlin, so that's going to assist Angus Fogg. What happened to Andy Booth?
So they go on Johnny McIntyre sideways. Paul Manuel's got to run. There you go. That's a bit of smoke coming out of one of the brake ducts, which alludes to the front of the car. I actually thought Paul Manuel had a run on Johnny McIntyre then. Johnny got a bit untidy coming off the last corner.
But it's interesting you say that, Mark, because the last lap Bargwanna was a 38.0, McIntyre was a 38.4, so McIntyre lost 4 tenths to Jason Bargwanna on the last lap. There's Scott McLaughlin. A little bit of the pressure's been taken off from behind him now with Booth gone. That'll bring Craig Baird up a position, Andy Knight and Angus Fogg.
Correct. And more importantly, it brings Angus Fogg up to the 8th position, so that points lost to the other two has dropped off by 3 or 4 points. So what have we got? This race is coming quite processional now. Last lap, no one's going to do anything silly.
Yeah, the last lap board is out for Jason Bargwanna, looking for his second win. Start of the weekend, I'm not going to gloat more, but I did say watch out for Jason Bargwanna. He's going to be a force this weekend.
Yeah, it certainly did, mate, but to be honest, it took you 6 rounds to get a right course, so we'll give that one to you.
To be fair, good comeback, Mr. Pedersen, but take nothing away from Jason Bargwanna. He's doing a great job, and he's putting on the flame show for the fans here at Taupo as well. John McIntyre losing a little bit of ground, so there'll be one happy Australian behind the wheel of the Repco Ford at the end of this one. You did say he was going to be pretty hard to get past. It'd be a wide old Ford for a few laps there.
Yeah, it was, but he's done lap 2 all the way up to here we are, lap 10. On merit. He hasn't been defensive, he's just driving his natural lines, and this is the experience coming out. He races pretty much every other weekend, whether it be in the New Zealand Championship or the Aussie Supercars. But here we go. Kane Scott. No, nothing will come of this. This has become a horsepower drag. Full manual go hard to the left-hand side, make Kane Scott go around the outside.
So Angus Fogg with approximately a 30-point advantage. If the race finishes in this order, Jason Bargwanna, the last sequence of quarters for race number 2 of the BNT V8s here at Taupo. He will take the victory for the Taupo Motorsport team on board with Kane Scott, trying to get a run on Manuel, but Manuel too good out of the final corner. Bargwanna, McIntyre, Manuel, Scott, Scotty McLaughlin, Craig Baird will finish 6th ahead of Andy Knight with Angus Fogg in 8th. So Jason Bargwanna with the victory here at Taupo. His second win of the championship ahead of John McIntyre, with Paul Manuel in 3rd, Kane Scott in 4th, Scott McLaughlin in 5th, Craig Baird in 6th. Angus Fogg in 8th now has just a 27-point lead over Kane Scott with 1 race left to go and 1 round left to go at Hamilton.